Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our cyber training webinar. And thank you for being here. I know you have a busy timetable, but thank you for joining us. So let's first welcome our speaker, Dr. Tim Cockerill. So he is a program director at Texas Advanced Computing Center at the University of Texas at Austin. And he has worked in high-performance computing for over 20 years. And he has also spent 10 years at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign before joining TACC in year 2014. So Dr. Cockerill currently serves as a DesignSafe Deputy Project Director and providing a web-based platform supporting natural hazards research. So you will hear more about the DesignSafe today. And he is also the co-PI on the NSF-funded Campus Cyberinfrastructure project, which is providing the training and research support for graduate students. So today, his topic is utilizing cyberinfrastructure to advance natural hazards research. So this webinar will give an overview of the capabilities that are provided by DesignSafe. This is the cyber infrastructure provided for Natural Hazards Engineering Research Infrastructure Program supported by NSF. So thank you, Tim. Floor is yours.
All right, thank you. And I appreciate the opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, I really appreciate getting to talk directly to the research community. And that is really the best way to do outreach, I've found, is just having the opportunity to meet in person. There's so much information that comes at you in email and a variety of things, but this is where we can really communicate and have a conversation. And I'm very reachable if you have any follow-up afterwards. And so I will be talking today about the DesignSafe project and the DesignSafe web portal, the infrastructure it provides for the broader natural hazards community. And there's a couple of things I want to mention. And while it is funded under the Natural Hazards Engineering Research Infrastructure Program at NSF, it is for all natural hazards researchers. And very shortly after this award was made 8 years ago, the NSF announced that the social science community would also be joining into the project as well, with a significant grant through the Natural Hazards Center at the University of Colorado to PI Lori Peak over there, well known in that community. And also the PI for DesignSafe is Dr. Ellen Rathje, Professor Rathje at the University of Texas at Austin in the Civil Architectural and Environmental Engineering Department at UT. So this project is available, and the infrastructure is available to all natural hazards related research. And also being at TACC, I will talk to you a bit about the fact that the Texas Advanced Computing Center, which is a large NSF funded supercomputing center, has significant resources that back this web-based infrastructure. And so you'll have access to all of our computing capabilities as well. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So some of the main takeaways, if you miss a lot of what's going on here, it's like drinking from a fire hose sometimes. The main thing I want to make sure you understand is all of this infrastructure is available to you, already paid for by the National Science Foundation. There are no costs from your research grants to use this. You don't even have to have research grants to use this facility. We welcome people that are not yet funded. We welcome practitioners. We welcome researchers. This is a place to share research information in the broader natural hazards community. We really intended for this project to support your research broadly, not just as a data repository, but really as a place to come and do your work on a regular basis. We have nearly 1,000 or around 1,000, maybe more now, published data sets since we took over the program in 2005. We have the predecessor data. The predecessor to this project was called NEES, the Network for Engineering Earthquake Simulation, and that was around since about the year 2000. And all of their previous data sets are also available through DesignSafe web portal. And so you can browse and see what data is out there, what information is out there. Who were these people that published all of these previous data sets? And you can use search functions that we have built into the portal to look through this data and what is relevant to the work you're doing. It's sort of a way to do something extended beyond maybe a journal search that you might do as you begin to do a new project and look at what's prior art, what's prior work in this area. Explore the published data sets, and then also maybe some of those people that publish those data sets, they may end up being someone useful to collaborate with on the project that you're moving forward with. Maybe you'll just find data sets that could be reused in the research you're doing, so you don't have to duplicate prior efforts, and you can really focus your funding on where you're heading with your research and have these valuable data sets that you can add to what you're doing, especially in the case of perhaps where a lot of people are going these days with AI research. You need a lot of data to develop good models, right? So you can all of the data that is published in DesignSafe, and we'll get into what is published and not published, and what does that mean. But these are citable data sets with DOIs that are published and that are available to you, whether you have an account to log in or not. They're publicly available to you, for you to access, and for other researchers to access what you would publish. You are welcome to upload whatever data you need to do your research as well. And we have a variety of applications and tools that are relevant to this research community based on feedback we've gathered from you that you can utilize right in the web portal interface. Or if you need deeper access to computing and control of your computing, you can get allocations to run directly from the command line on our HPC resources at TACC. And as I mentioned, curate and publish your data. And one thing I do want to mention about that is that in August of 2022, I believe, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy put out a memo ensuring free, immediate, and equitable access to federally funded research. If you read that memo, all government agencies, all research funded by government agencies, that research is going to be required to be published, and data sets are going to be from those are going to be required to be shared publicly, quote, immediately. There are, whatever that means, right? And there are, everybody's coming up with their policies right now. Lots of the different agencies are working on this, and they all have to publish their policies, but we are compliant with that. So if you need a place to publish, and again, this is already paid for, you won't have to pay someone to host your data sets. We don't have any restrictions on the amount of data that you can bring and publish. And so keep that in mind as you're looking at the need to publish data in the future, and get ahead of it now anyway. Okay. If you haven't been to the DesignSafe website, here it is. Here's the home page. You'll see that in our navigation, what we call the web portal, or which would be the functional areas, the interactive areas of the portal of the website here, are mainly going to fall under Use DesignSafe and the Learning Center, where you're going to interact with things. We also host the entire NERI program partners websites in here as well. The NERI program is also inclusive of several experimental facilities, the Wall of Wind at Florida International, the wind tunnel at University of Florida, the large outdoor shake table at San Diego, Lehigh's facility, with the pressure wall. There's the I'm leaving somebody out, the wave research out at Oregon State. There's a number of experimental facilities that are part of this. There's the Berkeley has the Sim Center, where they develop simulation frameworks for numerical simulation and workflows, putting together lots of different applications and disparate data sets that can more easily be run to maybe end up with inputs into HAZUS and things like that. So, and then just the whole broader NERI community. So this is a place where the hazards research community can come together. Our data repository, you'll see on the right side of the screen, is Core Trust Seal certified as a trusted data repository. Took us about 1.5 years to work through this international certification process. And only 3 to 4% of registered data repositories in the world have the Core Trust Seal certification, and we are one of them. And you can read about that more there. Okay, so the data depot is a big part. It is the foundation behind what everything we do with the DesignSafe web portal. So when you're logged in and when you're on the DesignSafe site, you go into the data depot, this is what you'll see on the left-hand side here is your area for where you have your private data that you can see, and then the public or published data that everyone can see. If you're not logged in, you would only see these public data areas: published NICE, which is the old program, and then community data, which is data that has not gone through curation, does not have a DOI, is not citable, but as people wanted to share it anyway under community data. We highly encourage the published if you're going to share data, and we'll talk about that. Private data, we have an area called projects. So in the My Projects area, and this is what we're showing here on the screen, is projects. Is a project has a lead person on it, but there are many other members of a project that you are welcome to add. You control as a leader of a project. And it's a place where you can share data. It might be your research group. It's a great place for your research group to store data at TACC. All this data is at our facility. None of this it's in the TACC, what we might call the TACC cloud, right? This is not on Amazon. This is not out on Azure. We host all of this data at TACC. TACC's been around for more than 20 years. TACC has finished the process of going through proposals for the next wave of NSF computing. If you want to look into that a little more, it's the leadership class computing facility, but essentially it means we're going to be around for at least another 15 years with about another $1 billion in funding coming from that. So suffice it to say, you can trust that we will be around a long time. When we have these published projects with DOIs, that DOI is a contract for us to basically in perpetuity make that data available. So you can trust that we will be around for a long time, and it's a great place to bring your data, share your data. Before you publish something, you start in My Projects, and you'll see this in a second here, but you bring your data there. You don't have to publish anything at all if you don't want to publish anything. You can use this data repository just as a place to hold data, to work on your data at TACC, to share your data with other researchers that you specify. We really encourage publishing, and obviously, as I mentioned before, the federal government is going to mandate some things coming forward in a few years. But you start with data in a project, and that's where it can end up starting from My Projects going into becoming published. And you can select only the files you want to publish. You don't have to share everything you bring to the web portal. So this is what a published project looks like. It kind of looks like a journal article. You've got a title, you've got the PI authors, you have an abstract. Here's your DOIs, right? And you'll see here we have a project type. I'll explain that a little bit more. We have 5 project types. This data I'm showing here. This data set is from an experimental project that Scott Brandenburg has done. And it was done at, oh yes, one of the other facilities, part of NERI, CGM, or the Center for Geotechnical Modeling at UC Davis, the centrifuge at UC Davis. When I say we have a project type experimental, what that means is when you see over here this layout of the data diagram, which you click here and you'll see this data diagram. This is what this is the ontology that we have worked with the research community to develop. And Dr. Maria Esteva here at TACC, she built this this data model for all the different data models. This one's the experimental data by asking the community, if you needed to see someone else's data, share someone else's data, what's the best layout for that? What's important? What has to be there? What metadata, the descriptions of the data, what must be there? Well, we need to know about the model itself. What was the model that was put on the centrifuge? What sensors were used and the calibrations of those sensors? What did you do to that? Well, we shook it. You know, we did we spun it on the centrifuge. Data collected at 5,000 hertz during shaking. There was shaking applied, and then the ground motion data, the ground motions that were used, all of those data files you're going to find in, you know, published right here. So you'll be able to see what the input files they use to shake this, which they may have done some, usually people use simulated ground motions, right, that they've gathered. And oops, and then and you'll see what they use to shake it, and then you'll see the output file. So it's all shared and made available to you to explore or reuse or understand what they learned from it. And again, you get the citable DOIs. We make it easy for people to know how to cite your data with, you just click on citation, they can click download, or they can just copy and paste this, but it shows the appropriate way to cite your data or for you to cite other people's data. So each project type has that structure. It's a little different based on whether it's an experimental project, a simulation project, hybrid simulation, which is using both physical and numerical at the same time. Field research, this covers not just you know, engineering reconnaissance, but also this is where you'll find a lot of people publish social science-based research under the field research project. And if your data set doesn't really match up with experimental simulation, hybrid simulation, or field research models, we have a general one called Other. Sometimes it's just a very simple report on something that's the only file you want to publish. Other is a great way to publish that. So all of these data models were developed, and all of the background and understanding of what these are, we have user guides, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So we say these are structured but flexible. We don't force you. There are a few things that are required. There are a few pieces of metadata that are required. You know, if you're doing experimental, you're going to have a model. You're going to have to talk about certain things. You're going to have to fill out certain fields and have certain data available to use the model. But we don't really tell you that, you know, what you have to name your files. We don't restrict types of files. You can put whatever types of files you want. We recommend certain things about what you should and shouldn't do. But we don't force you into anything. At the same time, that means there's a bit of flexibility that sometimes can be, well, I'm not sure what I should do. So we provide assistance with that. And Dr. Esteva, who developed these models, she and I'll show this too, she does virtual office hours twice a week, where she'll just get on Zoom with you, walk through your project, talk to you. Talk to her before you ever start a project. It can be at any phase of the project. She's happy to talk with you and help you prepare for how to curate data and make your life easier as you go through this publication process. And we have user guides and we have videos and things like that. So there'll be responsibility on your side to put some effort into this, but we are here to assist as well. We also support integrated interdisciplinary, which is becoming, especially I think in the field research area, becoming more common, where we will see teams in the field consisting of engineering and social science researchers. And in this particular case, Lori Peak from the Natural Hazards Center at Colorado, on the social science side of things, and then Joe Wortman at the University of Washington Rapid facility, where they have instrumentation for reconnaissance. And you can see there's a mix of data here. We've got the engineering and geosciences collection of data and social sciences collection of data about the same event, Hurricane Michael, Mexico Beach, and all of it relevant together, much more valuable than having to search for different disparate data sets that have been published, in separate locations, separate places, or under separate cover. And so I've, laid all that out there for you already. Okay. So that's the repository, but the repository is connected to lots of different pieces here. So the data is accessible. The data you bring or the published data is accessible to use in the various tools and applications that we provide: simulation tools, visualization, data analytics, and then GIS tools. And I'll show you in a minute some of those. You can search for data per event in our recon portal. And not only do we show data that we're aware of that's in the DesignSafe portal, but we will also find data that's at other, like NOAA or USGS, and places that have relevant data sets. And we'll try and capture the links to all those data here. And you can work through an interactive map that has pinpoints for each of the various hazard events. And then we've got a YouTube channel as part of our learning center. We have webinars on a regular basis across all of NERI. We record like this. We record this, and for DesignSafe related, NERI related videos, we would archive those on our YouTube channel for future use. Here's a little bit bigger picture of the published data sets from recon events, and again, the searchable map there. In general, we just simply want to support, make your data count. You put a lot of effort. If you've worked on data sets, right, developed data sets, you put a lot of effort into that and a lot of intellectual content into building those. There's a lot of value in those data sets, and not only to you, but to the broader research community. And make your research reproducible and make your data reusable, right? Make your data count. We'd love to have you formally publish your data with us. We would love that. We would love to host that. We want to be a part of that. But just please publish your data somewhere, okay? I'll say that here. I would love to have it. If it makes more sense for you to do it elsewhere, that's great too. We are beginning to do more and more work with connecting to other data repositories around the world now that we've been around for 8 years. We're able to put some effort, more and more effort into doing things externally with other large projects, other data repositories. And so we'll have some better connections to better access to other people's data real soon through APIs, things like that. We also encourage you can use your own, you can bring data using APIs already. If people have APIs in place, that's fine. But we're developing some searchable metadata across multiple platforms, things like that, to help data discovery be a little more seamless, so that you could be at someone else's repository and find DesignSafe data. You could be at our repository and look at other data repositories through metadata searches. Put your when you're using data sets, put the references to those data sets in your reference list. Some journals are still at the point where they will not let you do that. They say, oh, that's a DOI. Just reference that data set up in the acknowledgements, reference it in the body of your paper. Those are very not discoverable. And so lots of journals have gotten on board. Some of them require you to publish your data somewhere and make it available. And many of them are now finally at the point of, yeah, data set DOIs, those go in your references. That makes citation much more discoverable and much more valuable for you. And we track those. We track citations of our publications, and when you're in the website looking at a data set, you can see how many times it's been referenced and things like that. So this shows that example of, you know, on the left here, somebody saying, oh yeah, I have this data, but really it should be go back. Really, it should be in the references, okay? Not acknowledged somewhere or just in the body of the paper. People do reuse a lot of the data. We have some of our data sets have thousands and thousands of downloads of them. Some, especially a lot of the hurricane data and earthquake data. Thousands of downloads. People downloading, reusing that data. And then we have many examples of people reusing and citing that data properly and making it discoverable. And on our website, we have examples that you can read about. And we also, and by the way, right now nominations are being accepted for the annual DesignSafe Dataset Awards, where some of the top data sets that people have submitted for publication, put in and published last year, could win awards for very valuable data sets. So I mentioned we help, right? We help. You don't have to become a data curation, data publication expert. We have user guides. We have user guides to help you understand how to transfer your data here. We have or to transfer data out, right, as well, right? It's either direction. So if you have large published data sets, sometimes through the web browser, that's fine for smaller uploads and downloads. But if you have large amounts of data, we have other means. Oops. Let's see, the office hours, very valuable, very well attended. And if that time doesn't work for you on Tuesday or Thursday at 1 p.m. Central, by appointment, reach out, and Maria or Craig Jansen, who has worked on the data sets from the very beginning also, they will make time for you. And our YouTube channel, as I mentioned. We also have a Slack team. You get if you get a user account, you come to DesignSafe, you'll get an invitation to join DesignSafe Slack. You can just message me, and we have all different channels for different topics for people to discuss among themselves or with our community of staff at DesignSafe. So other things you can do with your data. Other than curate, publish, we have lots of different tools, as I mentioned, available. We have many codes that are commonly used. AdCirc for storm surge, the ANSYS physics suite, OpenFOAM for wind is used quite a bit. OpenSeas is a very popular finite element earthquake code. R-Whale is one of the Sim Center developed UC Berkeley regional. It's a regional hazards code. Lots of different codes available for simulation. These are just the ones that are right through the web portal. If you don't see what you would want to use here, again, we have other ways to get you access directly on our HPC systems. So very typical high performance computing or scientific visualization types of visualization capabilities, figure gen, ParaView, Visit. HazMapper is a similar to Google Earth, but it's an application we develop at TACC that is a geospatial tool that integrates with a lot of geosourced data. QGIS, we don't have ArcGIS, the licensed, but we do have the open source QGIS available to you, and Jupyter and MATLAB, Point Cloud Viewer with Poetry. So various visualization and GIS capabilities available to you there. Well, Jupyter Notebooks, as you probably are well aware, has gone from 8 years ago, people saying, what's Jupyter, to now very commonplace. We see it used a lot in academic courses, et cetera. We host a Jupyter Hub on DesignSafe. For those of you who are academic, if you're teaching, you can use our Jupyter Hub for your classes. You're welcome to do that. We maintain that environment. We keep it up to date. We keep up with the latest versions of things, the cybersecurity upgrades, all of that, so that you don't have to. It's all done for you, and you can just use our Jupyter. And we also have a lot of example notebooks that are available to you through DesignSafe as well. Here is the HasMapper tool that we develop. And so again, just a very nice GIS tool. While you're in the tool and you find some of these images, maybe point cloud images, like here on the right, you can just open them up and interact with them right in the tool. Very, very nice. And we've co-developed that really with the University of Washington, the NERI Rapid facility, as they drive a lot of the requirements for that. These under our user guides, you'll also find use case products. These are examples of how to use DesignSafe for your research. So there's a variety of things. We've got some things about machine learning and AI, some various things about OpenSeas, some wind research. These are small examples of things you might do, and usually there's a Jupyter notebook available, so you can grab that Jupyter notebook, explore the codes, see how they've done various things, and just kind of take it from there, and expand on that notebook or use it as it is. But these are just examples of how you might interact with DesignSafe, and again, an available Jupyter notebook almost always with each of these capabilities. Training. Lots of different opportunities for that training and sharing information. At the end of next week, there's the NERI Computational Symposium at UCLA, and just lots of things coming up in the spring and summer. Various educational. We've got the NERI Summer Institute for early career academics. The research for undergrads, lots of different capabilities and opportunities on the training side. Go explore that. And again, we archive everything in our YouTube channel. So I'm going to leave it there and give some time for discussion, questions, a lot of information. Just a lot available to you on the website, a lot available to you at TACC in terms of the different resources we have. Again, everything's funded by the NSF. It's already paid for. Nothing's free in this world, right? I like to call it already paid for because that's really what it is. But NSF is just a wonderful supporter of this research community and all researchers in the U.S. and your international collaborators as well. So that's the end of my discussion or my presentation, and happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Thank you, team. Thank you for the excellent presentation, and it's really helpful. And I think we have a lot of students, researchers, and might have a question about this. So if you have a question, please hands up. You can just unmute yourself, or you can type your question in the chat channel. So while we are waiting for others to think about their questions, I have one question. So you mentioned a lot of different type of GIS tools, right? So are those tools are automatically connected to the DesignSafe data portal, or we have to somehow, reconnect or download data, or so?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way everything is set up, you do not have to download data, and that's really a great advantage. The file systems where we store the design safe data, whether it's part of a project, whether it's the published data, all of the design safe data, when you're working in Jupyter, you can see all those files that, so you can see your private files, no one else's private files, right? But all the public files, you can see all of those. So if there's published data that you want to do some analysis on, you can go find that data while you're working in QGIS or while you're working in any of the tools. So yeah, the file system is connected to all of those research tools that we make available, as well as if you have other, I mentioned if there's other tools that we don't show there, or you want to use OpenSeas, but you have a much larger computing need. Through the portal, I think we allow you to get up to like 10 nodes or something like that on Frontera. That's 560 computing cores. That's a lot of computing power. But some people need 200 nodes, right? They need 100,000 computing cores, and they need to run thousands of simulations, right, to do a wide parameter sweep job. Those types of jobs are much easier done more traditionally in supercomputing, but you can use data from DesignSafe or put data back into DesignSafe with simple file transfers, because all of the hardware is all located in our data center at UT Austin. So we have somewhere around 6 different HPC systems. We're just building Stampede 3. It's almost available. We're putting 2 more systems online this year. We have all of our existing systems. We're always building some new system, right? We've always got something happening. We get you access to the system that is most appropriate for the type of work you're doing, whether it's AI, whether it's just some very basics use of Python or R. You don't have to be doing giant research, right? You don't have to be running on hundreds of nodes. If it's bigger than your laptop, or just simply you don't want to have to download the data, right? You don't want to use your laptop for things and tie up your laptop. That's another great use of DesignSafe, is just use our systems. Use TACC systems to do your work.
It's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, there's one question from Jeff. Are there any primary limitations that you seek to alleviate for DesignSafe in the future?
Yes. Yeah, so here's a good one. I mentioned that we have some tighter restrictions for running through the web portal today. So that if you only could use, right now we might restrict you to only 10 nodes, right? Something like that. We are working on one of the next phases, which might be 6 months or so from now, maybe a little bit longer, where it'll be a lot easier for you to do a little bit broader scale of work without having to leave the web portal access. If you like submitting jobs through the web portal, you don't want to learn the command line Unix commands to run jobs on a supercomputer. That's one of the things we're trying to improve right now. And it's been a multi-year project because you've got to build out the base infrastructure in a way to make it easier to access and do things. So essentially what you're seeing in the web portal is a very simplified view. We abstract away all the need for you to learn Unix. You enter a few commands in a web form, not even commands, information in a web form. and then we build the commands behind it, and it goes off to the supercomputer for you. We're going sort of to the next evolution of that, which is to allow broader access with a little more control, so that you wouldn't have to learn Unix. We're very understanding. This is why we've developed portal technologies at TACC over the many years, and we've been at this a long time. We've probably 15 plus years of building web portals, and they just keep getting better and better. Researchers in a variety of research domains don't want to learn how Unix commands. They don't even want to know the word Unix. They don't. That's fine. That's great. You know, I didn't know anything about it until I got into supercomputing either. But we don't want you to have to learn. Your intellectual contributions should be on your science, your scientific domain, not spending a lot of time learning how to run a computer. So that's the whole idea of the web portals and running jobs from there, accessing tools from there. We just link those file systems with QGIS, so you don't have to. How do I transfer that? How do I download that? Once I get it, what do I do? Now I've got to put these applications on my computer. You don't have to learn any of that, right? You can just come to DesignSafe and work in our environment. You log in and things are there for you to use. So that's what we're trying to do as best we can, is allow you to focus on that. Another thing with DesignSafe, I think, and I did mention this a little bit, but we want to be more intertwined with the broader data repository community, so it's easier for you to find the data you're looking for that could help you. And so these metadata is a description of data, right? So it's a description of your data. That's what metadata is, in its simplest example of how to define it. So we have metadata that on all the published projects of DesignSafe. So another data repository like Harvard Dataverse, they can search our metadata and discover the data sets, and then they can, and we'll be setting up easy ways for people to move data, so they say, oh, I found this type, using this metadata search, I found these 12 projects at TACC. All right, DesignSafe, I'm going to move that data set over to where I can use it, and transfer the files over there, because I've already got a bunch of files over there, and vice versa. We'll be able to pull more easily, search for and bring data from Harvard Dataverse or many other repositories. That's going to be a big focus over the next 5 years, really. We'll start a little at a time, and hopefully we'll really widen that into a large number of data repositories. So that, and again, it'll be, it'll be two-way. If you're very much more comfortable working in a different data repository, searching there, we want to make DesignSafe accessible so that you don't have to come and learn the DesignSafe way of doing business. You're more comfortable with that. That's great. We just want you to get your work done. That's all. We want to support your research. That's what TACC does.
Sure.
It's our mission. We're funded there. Oh, by the way, TACC is not just a little shop, a small research computing shop. We have 200 employees full-time at TACC. None of us are professors. Many of us have been researchers and have PhDs. We've done what you're doing. We understand you, and our job is to help you. That NSF pays us to help you. So take advantage of that, right? If you come to the DesignSafe Slack, you're not bothering me. You're helping me do my job better, right? I don't know if I should send Tim a direct message. Yes, you should send Tim a direct message, because Joy Poshke at NSF expects Tim to be available to you. That's why she gives DesignSafe funding,
Thank
right?
you.
So
Thank you.
please reach out. Please reach out.
Do I have other questions? So I know not only for DesignSafe, for almost all the data sharing platform, the challenge is how to recruit more users, right? How to encourage people to share. So have you thought about any incentive strategies that to, help to recruit more people to share their data?
So we have a couple things that we do. Lori Peak helped us start this. And we usually will either publicize these through the DesignSafe email blasts, or Lori Peak, when we're doing it with the social science community, she has her own networks of email distribution and announcements and social media. We do something called Publish Your Data events. And again, I have to give credit to Lori. She came up with this concept, and she said, you know, we'll come together and we'll get researchers who are just getting ready to publish, and some others who are a little bit further away of publishing their data. And we'll just host a workshop. We'll all get together. They can ask questions, talk to each other. We start off by giving a presentation, and Maria Esteva, you know, who developed our data models, usually leads that discussion. And then we answer direct questions for people, and sometimes we'll sit and look through their data, right? We try and do these in person when we can, but still have you know, it's usually both, you know, it's a hybrid meeting, usually with both Zoom and in person. And in particular, one of the things Lori did was, for social sciences, was start a data ambassadors program. I'm not sure the status of that today, but with her funding, she actually paid people who not only published, but then went on to promote that to other people. And she had a certain set of steps where, you know, you get a couple $100 for doing some of the steps along the way. And so she had a financial incentive approach to it. For DesignSafe, we do that through the annual Dataset Awards. It's a small token of, you know, like Amazon gift cards for, you know, for winning the Dataset Awards. But then we also give you a presenter slot for one of our NERI DesignSafe symposiums, and so you can you know, talk about your research. And we have, you know, DesignSafe has over 8,000 user accounts, right? So we do have a lot of people that come to the site. Now, over 8 years, you know, they're not all active today, right? Some of them are grad students from 2015, 16 that have now moved on and don't use it. We understand that. We don't have 8,000 active users, right? But every year we have about 1,200 or so people who log in, unique people who log in. And then many more that don't log in and come and browse through the data, because you don't have to log in to see the data. So the published data. So yeah, so there are some incentives, and we all, you know, from that point of view, but we also encourage it in many ways. And this is one of them. Every chance I get to talk on on a Zoom or at a workshop or conference, yeah, we definitely take that opportunity and do outreach. Yeah.
Thank you. And yeah, Laurie has been always very helpful. And we're actually gonna organize a workshop for our cyber training project this summer at the Natural Hazard Center workshop.
Oh, very good.
There, this in July, I believe in mid-July. So
yeah, every July. Yeah,
we will learn.
Workshop.
Yeah, we will learn more about DesignSafe there. Anyway, any other questions? Oh yes, we have
there's one
question. Yes. When using the Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Hub developed by DesignSafe CI, is there an easier way to load dataset published or host on DesignSafe data depots instead of downloading and uploading again? I just assume if so, it would be a good approach for data sharing. I think you have answered partly about that question.
Yeah, but yeah, but you know, when you open a Jupyter Notebook in DesignSafe, when you log into the Jupyter Hub through DesignSafe and get on to the into a Jupyter Notebook, the file system that you will see will include what I showed earlier. When you're in the website view, you'll have my data, you'll have my projects, and you'll have published, and you'll have the old NICE published, and you'll have community data. You'll see each of those data directories, and you'll be able to dig into those, right, and go through those and explore the data there directly and access it. So yes, absolutely. We load that file system, we mount that file system into our Jupyter Hub. And so yeah, once that data is shared or on the DesignSafe platform, the public data, right? You can see all of that. And then you'll see if you've brought data and you're a part of a project in My Projects, you'll see all of those projects that you're a member of, and you'll be able to access that data as well in your Jupyter Notebook. Absolutely. We really have seen an explosion on the use of Jupyter. I mean, we have tens of thousands of Jupyter Notebook files now across our entire platform. So it's very, very well used. We've had to continually increase the capacity, and we do. And we, again, at TACC, we have that ability. We have that capability to just keep creating additional images for the Jupyter Hub. And so we can support a very large number of simultaneous users on Jupyter. Yes, and it is a great way to share data without downloading that data and re-uploading it, and you can just access it directly. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, yeah, so we are actually running out of time.
Okay.
So please feel free to reach out to Dr. Cockerill if you have more questions to follow up. And thank you, team, for being here. It was really helpful, and I think everybody has enjoyed your talk. And looking forward to working with you on this project.
Likewise.
Okay, thank you.